Welcome to the I Am Worthy podcast, where we don't believe in choosing between this or that, but instead we are worthy of it all. I am your host, Brittany Noel, and despite being a licensed therapist, I know better than anybody what it's like to struggle with the doubt and fears behind the pursuit of your success in life, love, and your purpose. So join me as I uncover the secrets to becoming unapologetically worthy so that you can have, do, and be all things. Hey, you guys, welcome back to another episode of the I Am Worthy podcast. Y'all know me. I am Brittany Noel. I am a therapist, speaker, coach, but today on our podcast, I am just your friend in this journey as we are venturing into learning more about how do we fully accept the fact that we are worthy and move into everything that we are capable of. And I wanted to have this conversation with a woman that I feel just exudes confidence, exudes authenticity. And I want to have a real conversation with her to help us all better understand what does it mean to fully embrace everything that we're worth and move out of a place where we have compromised on our value at the sake of pleasing others. So please welcome to the show, Miss Alexis Fly.
Hello, Brit.
Hey, girl.
I'm so happy to be here today with you as well as with your listeners and your viewers. And
Absolutely.
I think this is definitely an important topic for women and men as well. And just the name of this show.
Thank you.
You know, that's a word in itself.
Yes. And you know, it was so funny because I did before we did the I Am Worthy, we had a gladiator show where I was interviewing different entrepreneurs about, you know, stepping into entrepreneurship and what that meant for them and overcoming adversity. And when we were getting ready to bring this show back, I could not bring it back. And I was like, something just ain't right. Like I didn't want to do the same thing. And so I was like, well, God, what is it? What is it that you want the message to be?
Yeah.
And I'm looking through every past video that I've released and I talk about, and the common theme was always letting people know whatever you want to do, you're worthy of it.
Ooh.
And we're not waiting for people to see our value.
Come on.
We're not waiting for people to acknowledge our value.
Yes.
And so this podcast is really teaching women how do we become unapologetic.
Ooh, that's good.
About the fact.
About who you are. Period. With a T, y'all.
Because how often do we find ourselves apologizing for who we are?
I think we have a lot of time when you are, especially a people pleaser. I think I recently identified that I have been, especially coming off of this show, Ready to Love. It helped me really see that. When you realize that, and then when I say coming off this show, it's because there was so much judgment, so many opinions about my journey, about my walk. And like I've shared on other interviews, I was used to being the one, because I'm a social butterfly, of walking into a place and I was well received.
Yeah.
And to come off of a show that is global, everybody in the world is watching you.
Yes.
You're trying to just go and be yourself, as to say, be authentic. And you just think, oh, everybody's going to love me. I mean, I'm being honest. You know, it's no this, it's no that. And you're not thinking about, well, everybody has a different perception of life because based off of their experiences. So here's the thing, Brittany. Some people you are called to, and some people you're not called to. You're not for everybody. So when it comes to your self-worth, you have to be okay with the fact that, you know what, everybody is not going to see, you know, the light that's on me.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? What God has called me to be. But the people that are supposed to see and the people that I'm supposed to inspire, those are the people that matter.
We only 30 seconds in. We are only 30 seconds in. And when I tell you, yes, like, and I always say that when people see you, they will either be inspired or intimidated, but you don't get to make that decision for them.
Gosh, that's so good.
So they get to make up their minds about how they feel about you. Yeah. And that's okay.
And it's okay, because what I also have learned recently is that people project on you what they haven't reconciled in themselves. Yes. You know, so it's kind of like, you know, either if they were watching me on the TV screen, it was either, man, you know, I can relate to her. I've been through that, and I like it, or I don't like it. Or it's, I have seen this with somebody else and I like it or I don't like it. But whatever the case, this is what I try to remember, you know, as I'm watching or as a viewer is watching, is that bottom line, if I'm causing you to have any type of emotion of any kind, I'm doing my job. That's what television is, everybody.
Exactly.
You know? But I'm speaking to something in somebody or to some type of emotion, whether it makes you happy, whether it makes you sad, whether it makes you peaceful, whatever emotion I evoke, I've done what I was supposed to do here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you have such a huge presence.
Oh gosh, thank you.
Like just such a huge presence, you guys. And I met Miss Alexis Fly in person 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, on a panel.
On a panel,
Yeah.
right? And that was the first time that I actually heard even a snippet of your story.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how much you had been through, how much you had overcome.
A lot.
And it's like the journey to who you are, because I
Yeah.
always tell people, don't get lost in what you see today.
Man, that's so
Because
good.
as great and as beautiful and as powerful as you are today, there was a story behind
There's
that.
a story behind it. You know, you've heard that phrase a lot, you know, where they talk about you see my glory, but you don't know my story. And there's so much to unpack there in terms of when it comes to accepting my worth. I don't even know where to start. If it starts with just relationships in general, it's learning to love myself and to see myself the way that God sees me. What do I see? What's the reflection that I see when I look in the mirror? Is it one of value, or is it one of shame, of guilt, of being stuck in my past? All those things, because sometimes we need to be delivered from things. So we jump into things that we think is going to help heal us.
Yes.
And all it does is bring extra weight on, extra baggage that now you have to go back and unpack all of those things, right? And so, again, going back to the show, one of the last things that I said when I was eliminated on the show, because the Holy Ghost was speaking to me, I'm going to tell you why. Producer asked me a question. She said, Alexis, I can relate to you. She says, because I ignore the red flags when it comes to people that I'm dating. I'm a giver. I give a lot. You know what I'm saying? When I'm stuck on that person, I'm stuck on them. She says, there's some things that I want that I don't have. I'm not married yet. I don't have children. And I've experienced a broken heart. Yeah. I know you have too on this journey. Look at that camera and speak to the women about having a broken heart. And it took me back to the place that I've been, because I came out of a marriage where I was married to a pastor. And see, when you think that you are married to a man of God, everything's going to be perfect.
Of course.
He's going to treat me just like Jesus is going to treat me. He's going to see me like the Lord is going to see me. There's not going to be any problems. But the truth of the matter is that he's a human being just like I am.
Absolutely.
He has flaws. He has childhood issues and things he has to still work on. Same with me. And those are the things that I accepted before I said I do, right? So I thought I accepted. Let me say that. Let me say that. I thought I did. You know, and so she told me to look at the camera and talk to the women. So I just imagined, I took myself back to that place, the place of pain, the place of hurt, the place of when I was crying on my pillow, the tears of like, oh my God, like what happened here? Why didn't this work out? And me feeling unworthy. Feeling like, man, why do I never get chose? Girl. What's wrong with me? Have you ever asked yourself that? Like, what? I mean, really? God?
Listen, when you have Lauryn Hill, when Lauryn Hill X Factor, first of all, that song just always hits me when she says, "Who do I have to be?"
Ooh, who do I have to be?
When you're willing to change everything about you, just tell me what you want. I'll be that.
And I'll be that.
If you're willing to love me.
And why as women, why do some of us, and not saying I haven't been there before because I've done it.
Yeah.
Why do we think we have to change ourselves to get what we need or what we want or what God has for us? I don't know if anybody who is listening has ever been like, you know what, you know, some guy has complained about something. Maybe it's, you know, how you dress, how you wear your hair, you know, and you're like, okay, I'm going to change that for him. Or, you know, something about your personality. And then
you're
maybe,
too loud.
Oh, well, clearly I get
you
that one too.
You talk too much.
Yeah. You talk too, oh, that one too.
Look.
I'm here with you, you know, and you think, well, you know, in order to satisfy him and to make him happy, these are the things that I need to change. Now, there's one thing, you know, to compromise, and you want to do it because you know it's something that you legitimately need to work on.
Right.
But it's different changing who you are just to be with somebody. Let me tell you, if you have to awaken Adam for him to see you, and when I say awaken Adam, ladies, I mean, you know, you shake him like, hello, I'm the one, I'm over here. If you got to do all of that work, he's not it.
He's not
sis. And be okay with that. Because you have to see yourself as the ruby that you are. I ain't talking about a diamond. I'm talking about a ruby. It's worth more.
Right.
The one that the good Bible talks about. Mm-hmm. If you could understand that a man cannot just take a ruby and sit it on the table and walk away. If he's doing that to you, he's not the one.
Not the one.
You do not, as the king's daughter, have to accept anything that is just handed or given to you. Mm-hmm. We don't have to. Why do you think that you have to. And so I think that's where therapy is important.
Yes.
Someone sitting down talking to someone like you, because a lot of times those things come from childhood issues, whether, your daddy, was not necessarily taking you on daddy-daughter dates.
Right.
He may have been unemotionally available,
Exactly.
all these different things. And because our fathers, if you are blessed to have one in your life, they're the first example of a man in your life.
Exactly.
So you go based off of that as you move into relationships. And to be transparent and honest about myself, there's some things in my past, when we talk about my past and my childhood, that I realized even going on this journey that, the reason why I respond the way that I do is because of things that I dealt with at a young age. Let me just be 100. My father is a great father. Love him. I never went without, but he worked all the time. He wasn't always at my events. And, my mama had me in everything. He wasn't always present emotionally.
Right.
So even on my journey, you see me being very vulnerable, very transparent. And I shared my insecurities. Because one of those things was, when you talk about not valuing yourself, is wanting the guy to, can you see me? Like, I know what I am. I know what I present. I know what I bring to the table. Yeah. But why am I shaking you for attention?
Yes.
Something that I should not be doing.
Yes. Yes.
But I realize where it comes from. And so now I realize where healing must take place.
Absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I tell people all the time is that when they come to therapy, that by the time they get to the therapy, the coach or whoever you're working with, that the problems that you're trying to correct were ingrained before you were 12.
There it is.
That what happens is we are wounded and we are hurt as children, and then we become adults trying to fix what we didn't get.
Wow.
And so you keep repeating those cycles in different ways with different people, trying to get the attention from daddy because he was working, paying bills, and didn't give me attention. So in many ways, I learned how to get this huge personality because this big personality makes people look my way.
There it is.
And so it's like, if you can understand the way in which you keep trying to fix your past in your present, then you can stop that cycle of picking the wrong partners for the wrong reasons.
There it is right there, girl. You preaching today.
And I tell people is that when you identify what is the need that I'm trying to meet, what you will find is, one, you figure out why you're picking the wrong people, but then it also gives you insight as to who the right person is. Because now that I know that because I have a need and a desire for this attention, to be seen, the man that is for me will see me effortlessly.
Did y'all hear that?
I won't have to, have a sign.
There it is.
No jumping jacks. I won't have to convince
Yeah.
that he will see me in a crowd and identify me because that's my need.
That's so good.
So that's why you have to get to the root of why because people get so wrapped up in, well, I can't believe I did this. We all have done something.
Mm-hmm. Every single one of us.
I tell people, I repeated the same mistake for 6 years,
Yes.
okay? 6 whole years. The same mistake over and over and over.
Yes.
So it's not about what you did, but it's getting to the why of why I did it. That's where you find your freedom.
See, that last line. That's how you find your freedom. And I think, Britt, that's the journey that I'm on. I'm on the journey of self-love. Fly. It originally came from the context of fashion, the whole Alexis Fly brand. But now, it now means first love yourself. That's the ministry that has become. That's the message that I want to give to women who are seeking relationships, who are seeking to be validated. The only person that should be validating you, or really the only spirit, is your father.
Yes.
That's your validation. You find it in him. Immerse yourself in him. When you talk about Ruth and Boaz finding her, we always say, Ruth was being about her father's business. She was minding her own good business, being successful out there in the field. She wasn't out there looking around, but she was also in position.
Position and purpose.
Position and purpose. And her heart was open and ready, but not even realizing that this king was coming to swoop her on up and give her everything that she hoped and prayed for, but that's because she was hidden in God.
Right.
She did, like Naomi said, she followed Naomi, and she was, she was her right hand person. She said, wherever you go, I'll go. Whoever you serve, I'll serve. And she gave her life to Christ. And when she did that, God gave her everything that she desired. You know, they were in mourning because she had lost her husband. Her previous husband had died.
Yes.
Not knowing that another blessing was around the corner. But her focus wasn't on, oh, Jesus, I need a man. You ever been there where you single so long and you like, I mean, goodness, when is it going to be my turn? My time and my turn.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And for me, you know, my tribe knows that I got to a point when I came out of that last relationship that I was completely broken, didn't know who I was, looking in the mirror was like, I don't know her. Like who is this lady looking at me?
Yeah.
Because I had been in self-betrayal.
Ooh,
so
tell me about it.
Self-betrayal is when you make decisions against who you are, willing to sacrifice who you are for the need of somebody else.
Wow.
And so for 6 years, that was my pattern. What do you need? I'll become that.
Yeah.
Oh, you need something else? Well, I'll become that too. So every time that I was willing to become something to make him happy, I was cutting off little pieces of myself.
Yeah.
So in order for me to you know, not be argumentative, because, you know, he's like, oh, you always got something to say.
Yeah.
Well, it's because you come home at 3 a.m.
And I'm trying to understand why.
I'm trying to understand why.
Help
me understand.
Yeah.
So I would say, okay, well, Brittany, just don't say anything. And that's where I lost my voice.
Yeah.
Right? And it would say, okay, well, Brittany, I know you saw that, but let's just act like we didn't see it. And that's where I lost my sight. So every time you make a decision that keeps you in denial about where you are in your life, you're participating in self-betrayal, which means I have to now self-mutilate parts of myself.
Ooh.
And so after doing that for 6 years, I was like, girl, I don't know you.
What was your specific turning point on, you know, the day where it was like, you know what? I don't deserve this and I'm not going to do this.
I wish that I could tell you that that's where I got to, but my turning point wasn't I don't deserve it. It was literally I wrote a book, and that's where the book starts, is on the night that it was over. And me and him were going back and forth. And I found, you know, text messages.
Yeah.
Phone. Actually, his entertainment.
Yes. Yes.
Called me.
Called you.
You know,
I like how she used that word. I'm about to use that.
You know, his entertainment called me.
Yeah.
And we had a whole conversation, and she described to me what the inside of our house looked like.
Wow.
What our bedroom looked like, what my decor looked like. And I'm like, oh.
Because you really been in here.
Because you've been here.
Yeah.
And so I went to him, and I was adamant. I was like, okay, so clearly you don't love me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just need to hear you say it. And so for about an hour, we went round and around and around of me forcing it out of him. Just tell me you don't love me. I'm not gonna do this with you. You know, and he's going back and forth. I'm following. He went from one point of the house to another. Everywhere he went, I was behind. Just say it. And I needed to hear it.
Yeah.
And by the time he finally said, he was just fed up because we had been going around and around for a very long time. Yeah. And I was getting very irrational.
Yeah. 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 We all do that too.
Right. Very rational. I'm like, just say it. Yeah. Like, just let me know. Okay. He
Give
turned
me
on the
what
TV.
I'm asking.
I'm going to turn off the TV. And stuff.
Yeah. We
so
get
I asked you.
Yeah. So I'm still waiting.
Right.
Because now I'm finna tear this whole house until you give me the answer.
Because there was something in me that was like, if I just hear you say it, then I can give myself permission to leave.
Wow.
Because me knowing it wasn't enough.
Wasn't enough.
I needed to hear it from your lips. And so, gosh, he finally said it. He said, Brittany, I never loved you. And I collapsed on the floor.
Absolutely.
Just completely broken. He, leaves the house, and because he could never stay and watch the devastation. So as I'm sprawled out on the floor, I remember like in that moment, like feeling like I was like, oh, okay. Like this is where you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Like it's over.
Devil is a lie.
It's over. Like,
but that's what it feels like. When you're in that low, dark place, a place of complete brokenness, a place where you're almost like there's no hope, and you're that broken. I mean, a broken heart is something, man. Yes. I mean, it's one thing to kind of get hit in the chest, like physically.
Yeah.
But it's another thing to experience an emotional pain that's connected to the heart.
Yes.
And that's why I believe, the word tells us, to guard our hearts. And it also tells you that the heart can be deceiving because, like you were saying, it's like you needed closure. And I understand that feeling as a woman. When you really are connected to someone, when you have a soul tie, as they say, with someone, you've been with someone for a very long time, no matter if it was up, down, around the corner, you know what I'm saying,
right.
with whatever you were dealing with, it's not easy to just walk away.
Mm-mm.
And so when you have a connection with somebody that you have grown to love and that you're in love with, when it comes to the end, yes, you need that closure.
Yep.
Going back to the show, a lot of people couldn't understand, well, during the reunion, why did Alexis, why did she call AJ? Why would she reach back out to him? You know why? Because we had a connection that maybe you guys didn't get to see, but there really was one. We had about 9 to 10 dates that wasn't shown on the show.
Right.
We dated off camera, and he had made a different decision. He had chose me, and then he changed his mind.
Yeah.
What happened? I had to leave, so I didn't really get the answer.
Right.
Yes, there was a little, talk at the end when I was let go, but I didn't get the closure that I needed. So have you ever been like you got out of a relationship, as to say, or a connection or dating or something, and you go back and you rehearse in your head the things that you did together, the things that he said to you, whispering, play by play. And you wonder, was this ever real?
Right.
Were these feelings, were these butterflies that I felt, were they real? Were they real to you?
Right.
And I think it's only fair when you have made a decision to be in an environment where you guys are choosing one another or you're going to be connected, to have the answer to that question.
Yeah.
And so, Brittany, even though some people may look at your situation like, why did you ask him? You shouldn't have asked. Because I was connected to him, because I loved him. And I needed to hear that for myself so that I could make the decision on what I needed to do to free myself.
Right.
And I don't care what anybody says. It's okay. Because it's the same reason why Jesus had a broken heart going all the way to the cross. He know there was a destiny to perform, but he had to ask God, are you here? Have you forsaken me?
Yeah.
Like, where are you? He needed closure before he closed his eyes to ascend to his destiny and purpose. So all of this was just a part of your destiny and your purpose. Is what landed you right here in this chair. This is why we're talking. This is why you talk to all the other people, because it's about transparency.
Right.
And I tell women all the time, transparency saves.
Yes.
So you're going to get that from me. Even when I was a first lady, I used to tell them people when they came to my church, look here, don't put me on a pedestal. Because one, you may see me at the lounge, you know what I'm saying, with my husband, you know what I'm saying, sipping a little wine, a little Jesus juice.
Right.
I haven't had my own attitude coming in here, and I need some deliverance. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So don't be dependent on me, because sometimes I wore my feelings on my sleeve, because I need Jesus just like you do. I'm a human being.
First.
That's what I'm walking in. But I was big on being transparent so that you could see me as a human being, so that you wouldn't expect perfection from me. So when I disappoint you, sis, your life choices aren't dependent on what I did.
Exactly.
You understand?
Yeah.
You don't put me on a pedestal. You put Jesus on a pedestal. That's who you keep there.
Absolutely.
We're all trying to be that way.
Absolutely. And I think the transparency also helps other women see themselves in your story.
There it is.
Because they need to know, okay, I'm looking at you now and I see the end product after the work has been done. So your growth gives me hope that I can get there too.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Let me tell you, coming off of this experience in this journey and attempting to find love in front of the whole world.
Listen.
I
don't know how you did it.
I don't know how I did it either.
Listen.
Because coming off and then watching it back.
Yes.
The edited version.
Right.
There were some painful moments. And even as a producer, because people are like, Alexis, some of the people on the internet, Alexis was part of producing herself. Let me tell you something. If I would have produced myself, Britt, it would have been a different storyline.
Yeah.
I had no parts in it besides what I said and what they put together.
Right.
But looking back in it, it took me, certain Fridays, I'm like, dang, that's what I said, or that's how y'all made it look, or is that the message we putting out there? I was in a low place on some Fridays.
Right.
But then at the same time, I knew that this storyline that was being presented, somebody out there was being inspired by it.
Absolutely. And somebody is seeing themselves.
That's
and
what
like,
I'm
okay,
saying.
I was right where, or I'm currently where she's at.
Is.
So yeah, it's the thing about being an influencer.
Yeah.
And I tell my tribe all the time is that, especially when life is getting tough for me, when just issues are coming up and, I'm like, okay, I'm aware that because of who I am and what I do, much of what I go through has nothing to do with me.
Come on.
There's somebody that I have to go through this for so that I can teach them. Like much of the pain I have gone through in my life, I was like, I wasn't that bad of a person to deserve that much
No,
pain.
people always be like, oh God, this is so unfair. It's unfair because it's not for you.
It's not for you.
But God chose you because you were strong enough to get through it. So he could prove to the other person that the other person can get it through it as well. There is nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new. And for those who may be in a place of despair right now, in a place of deep depression, in a place of feeling unworthy, sis, bruh, whoever's listening, you are not alone.
Yes.
There is hear what I'm telling you. Bree, Britt, you know this. There is nothing that you have done, said, or thought about that somebody else has not experienced. You can find someone, or God will send you someone who can relate to help pull you back out of that pit so you can become part of the army that helps another person survive. Exactly. God needs you to survive so you can help somebody else live. That's what he did for your life.
Absolutely. And that's where I found my worth. Because when it clicked for me, how valuable must you be? That not only did he take you through hell, but when I was on that living room floor, he was the one that picked me up and said, okay, now pack your stuff. It's time to go. That how powerful must you be? How worthy must you be? That there has to be something so significant about you that he came specifically for you. And being who I am and what my voice does, because of course I learned about what my voice was years after this, I realized I don't have the luxury of not shining. Like
Shine I don't bright like a diamond.
I don't have that luxury to play small. Because your bigness, as much as other people may have a lot to say about it, your bigness is why people look at you and say, okay, maybe I can get there too.
Thank you, Jesus. Woo! I'm about to cry here. Where is the tissue?
I know. It's like, okay, we having a moment.
It's good.
Having a moment. But when I work with my ladies, I'm like, y'all have to see how powerful you are. We focus on the devastation.
Yeah.
But what about the one who came out of the devastation?
Gosh. That's the whole point. What about the one that came out of the devastation?
How powerful are you? So when I see myself, I have to stop seeing myself as that girl laying on the floor crying.
Wow.
And I see myself as that woman walking out of debris. God. Like, that's what I see.
Walking out of debris, that's good.
And that's the shift.
Wow.
That's the shift when I realize, okay, all of this is happening for a reason. That must mean that there's value.
There's always value. I think if you want to be desperate for anything, you should be desperate enough to see your worth. Go after that. When I think about the woman with the issue of blood, she was desperate enough to believe that I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to live. And so I'm going to take my last action, which is to crawl through these people, through the people who talked about me, hated on me, told me I was nothing, talked about me physically because you know what her issue was.
And even the people who didn't see me.
And even the people that didn't see me. And she crawled. And all she did, you talked about power, was touch the hem of his garment. And Jesus said, hold on. Power just went out of me. Yes, shit at Odobo Sunday. I'm going to speak in tongues on this podcast.
The first time ever.
First time ever. Hello, everybody. Don't ask me what it means. I don't know. Power went out of him.
Yes.
Because the power of him was also in her. She just needed to believe and be desperate enough to get what she needed. And then she was completely healed. And God restored her value in the world. Because see, everybody around her was devaluing her and telling her what she wasn't and what she would not become. And she went at it alone to get it, sis. She went by herself.
And what's crazy, because, you know, all of my clients are Christians, love God, love Jesus. He can do everything for everybody but me.
And
I'm like, we can't hold on to that belief that we're too unworthy to be blessed. We're too unworthy of his grace, of his favor. When you have to realize that the most powerful part of you is the part of him in you.
Come on.
So when you say that I'm not these things and I can't do these things and it's not going to work for me and I'm not going to have it, you mean to tell me that your God is that small? Because mine isn't.
Mine isn't. So are we serving the same God? And so I think another important part of understanding your worth and your value is how you speak to yourself.
Girl.
You understand? When God created the world, he spoke it.
Yes.
He said, let there be light. Let there be this and that. Let there be sky. Let there be water. And so as many gods, meaning we are made and created in his image, we have that same authority to speak into our lives.
Yeah.
Prophetically, to speak and establish the things in the earth that we want, that we desire. But you have to be able to speak positivity into yourself. So meaning I don't care if at 5, 6, 7, heck, when you came out the womb, your mom, your dad, your brother, sister was telling you what you weren't and what you were not going to be.
Because we have enough of that.
We have enough of that. Or your teacher, whomever. You have to be able to look in the mirror, look at the reflection, see yourself the way that God sees you, and tell yourself who you are.
Yes.
And I know people think that's weird. You get that activity from therapists, things a lot. And first, when you first do it and you're trying to affirm yourself, you're like, man, this is strange. This is not going to work.
It feels forced. It feels fake. It feels like it's not going to work.
Exactly. But the more that you do it and the more that you say it, it gets inside of your spirit and your soul. And that's where the confidence is built. I didn't always have this confidence that you see now.
Right.
Honey, when I was growing up, I couldn't understand why my hair didn't blow in the wind like the other folks. You know what I'm saying? Why my skin so chocolatey?
Exactly.
You know, I mean, if I'm being honest, these are the things that I dealt with as a young child. I didn't always think I was beautiful.
Right.
It took me time to be there, and it took affirmation. So when you see myself saying, I am who I am, I will be who I will be. That's because one time in the Bible, God said, who was it? It was Moses said, well, who are you? He says, I am the I am. So you got to look in the mirror, sis, and say, I am who I am.
And listen, when I tell people my self-talk gets cocky. And it's
like that.
It's not coming from a place of me believing, because one of my affirmations, especially when I was struggling to embrace who I was as a coach, I had to get into the habit of saying, I am everything. Because I was trying to put myself in boxes that I thought people would accept me.
Wow.
And so I was like, well, this is what a therapist does. You should act like this.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this is what a coach does. And I was trying to be what people said you should be on social media and what you should post but none of it was me. And I had to embrace the fact, Brittany, you don't do just this and you don't do just that, but you do a lot of stuff very well.
Yeah.
The world ain't going to recognize that. And that's okay.
That's okay.
And so the affirmation I use when I say I am everything, it's recognizing I come from a God that's everything. So it doesn't make sense that he would give me all of this creativity.
Wow.
And I don't get to use all of it. So accept me as I am.
Accept me as I am.
Or not at all. And I'm okay with that.
Well, as you know, our fingerprints are different. We have a unique DNA. And one thing that really drew me to you is because you are probably one of the most different therapists I've ever met. And I loved it. I was attracted to your light, the way that you present yourself, you know, the way you was on that panel. I think I had to go up next. I was like, shoot, I don't want to go after her. You know, but when you talk about presence, you have presences. You are literally like people. It's just like, you know, the bugs, you know, are drawn to the light. People are drawn to you. And what you say reveals and it heals and it makes sense.
Yeah.
And so you are not required or obligated to be like anybody else. You can't be, because you have a unique audience that's called to you. People's lives are going to be saved and changed radically because of you. You never can turn it down, tone it down, or turn it off.
Absolutely.
You are required to be what God created you to be and to move how he wants Brittany to move. Do you know the meaning of your name by any chance? I'm just curious. Because if not, we need to look that up later on after the podcast.
We're going to have to. My mom actually had it done like you when we were little.
Yeah.
And I don't have it anymore. But at one point I did have the meaning, but I don't remember it.
I'm going to look that up. We have to add that to the caption of the meaning of your name. And the reason why I say that, I always tell people, be careful what you name your children, because it's prophetic. Whatever you say, again, back to the speaking things into existence, it's kind of what they walk in. So, for example, Alexis, my name means helper of mankind. My middle name, it ain't Fly, y'all, is Danielle, which means God is my judge. God revealed that to me. Coming off the show with all this judgment opinions, he said, see, this is why I named you Danielle. Because you had to get to a place that you couldn't be worried about what people think and say about you. You only are concerned about what I say about you. I created you. Do you understand? And then Jones means highly favored. So say what you want to say, sis. We gonna keep winning.
I'm gonna still win.
I'm still gonna win.
It's written for me to win. It's set up for me to win.
It's set up because there's an assignment on your life, on my life, on the life of those who are listening right now. Every single person on this earth. I think people get caught up in the fact that, you know, in their unworthiness or devaluing themselves because they feel like they haven't found their purpose.
Yes.
And I think that, you know, your life's journey is all about figuring what that is, figuring it out.
Yeah.
Some of us get it early. Some of us may get it later. But my thing is, I told God, look here, the oil that's in this vessel, I want all of it used up. I don't want a drop left before you call me home. I just want to be able to fulfill whatever it is that you call me to do. So when I get to those pearly gates, he's like, sis, daughter, job well. Look, I'm saying sis.
Got it, sis.
You know, he everything. You know, he your daddy, he your husband, you know, he your best friend. He your brother. Well done, Alexis. Well done. If anything, I definitely gonna find my worth standing up there at them pearly gates. Like, man, I did it. I made it.
Yeah.
You know, I think we're mostly caught up in the earthly realm of things, in the natural, because that's where we live. You know, we don't walk around here being supernatural all the time.
No.
But I think there's a point in our lives that we need to think about the other side of things. So be very careful of the decisions and the choices that you make now, not to derail your destiny. And I don't think you can necessarily derail it, but you can delay it.
You can delay it. You can sabotage it.
You can definitely sabotage it. You know, what should have taken you 5 minutes to get somewhere may take you a year because of the decisions you made. Or God may raise, if he tell you to move on something and you decide that you're unworthy, you're not worthy enough to move. Well, he'll raise somebody else up, and then you got to learn the lesson. So like you said before, it's not till you break the cycle of the thing that you need to change. That's when you'll begin to see the movement. And then you'll begin to identify what your purpose is. But it really, to me, identifying what your purpose is starts with identifying your worth.
Y'all, we gonna be here all day.
All day.
So I feel like we have known each other for years at this point.
Literally feel like that. My soul
like we
sister.
could just sit here and talk, and I love having, first of all, because you can't have this type of conversation with everybody.
You can't. They're not going to get it.
They don't get it. They don't understand it. And it's how you can have people who bond through pain. But, and I always warn people about that, but right now we're bonding over the overcoming.
I love that. And it's so true.
To sit in the midst of another woman who has walked through her own ashes. Like that to me is, fulfilling.
That's so profound.
But it just even right. Like I feel like this is orchestrated right now. It is. Like I can feel it right now, and it's like whatever's gonna come from it is gonna come from it. But I'm completely happy and blessed to have met you.
I'm beyond blessed.
I thank you for confirming for myself, for my audience, that we're on the right path, and that the price that we paid for stepping into the greater parts of who we are, it will never be in vain, ever.
It will never be in vain. And understand that everything has a price. Everything requires some sort of sacrifice. It comes down to, what are you willing to sacrifice for what you've called to do? And I feel so blessed and so honored that you feel confirmed and affirmed in this moment, because I surely do. And, you know, sometimes you meet people and it's just an instant connection. You don't know what it is about them, but it's just like, oh, this is my person. This is a person that could roll with me in the season that I'm in. And so for everybody that's listening, I'm looking forward to the relationship that will develop, Brittany.
Yes.
And thank you for inviting me and allowing me to sit on your platform that blesses so many people, that inspires them. And I just want to encourage you to keep on going, because I am worthy.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Hey, Dr. Javon.
How's it going, Brittany?
You know, in our last session, we talked about my breakup. You know, I was able to take all the feedback you gave me and really do something with it. You know, and I made a decision to start doing things that make me happy, you know? So I've been really focused on, you know, my body.
Yes, body, yada, 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 yes.
Exactly, right? And I've been doing a lot of cardio, making sure I get my steps in. And I've even taken an interest into, you know, expressing myself through art. You know, so in the last week, I really feel like all those pent up anger and emotions that I had, I really was able to give them an outlet. And I feel so much better because of it. Like, I'm so happy that we can have these conversations, because I feel like I'm growing.
I also see you have an ankle monitor. Now tell me how you got that.
So, it took 6 years of my life.
I think it's time you do the real one.
Why you don't want me?
Don't be like her. Purchase the workbook. It's going to help you heal. Because not everybody looks good in an orange jumpsuit.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Tell the
you,
people
sis.
where they can find you.
Absolutely. So you guys can find me on, I roll on the Instagram, okay, y'all, not Facebook too much, but I'm there too. But you can find me at the Alexis_Fly on Instagram. And then you can follow me at thealexisfly.com to learn more about me on my website. And those are the two places that I really reside. I also am the founder of Dear Black Sun, spelled DEARBLK. BLK. DearBlackSun.org, so you can learn a little bit more about my soon-to-be 501c3 that is devoted to mentoring young Black men and teaching them more about their African American heritage. So definitely look into that so you can find out more details on what I have in terms of that movement. But that's pretty much it. That's where you can find me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Listen, this ain't gonna be the last y'all gonna see of Alexis, okay?
I'm glad to hear that. I'll be back, y'all.
Yes, get used to it. So you guys, thank you again for tuning in to this amazing episode. This is probably one of my favorite episodes on the show so far. So I'm excited. Make sure that you share this episode, because I know there are women everywhere who needs this. So make sure you share with your friends, your homegirls, your mama, your sister, your auntie. Send it to everybody, because everybody needs to know that they are able to walk into their full authentic worthiness. Until our next amazing episode, I will talk to you guys later.